FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is the anxiety or insecurity that you're missing out on something fun or something important while you're doing something else. So FOMO during exam preparation can be of two types. First is the FOMO about what source to use, and second is the FOMO about missing out on fun stuff while you are sitting here and studying. So right now there are many apps and platforms out there for NEET PG preparation, and many people get confused over which one to choose. But even after choosing a platform and getting started on it, you may think that you're missing out on the good stuff on some other platform. Say for example, you have started with Marrow, but one of your friends says that he's using Prep Ladder and it is really good. Then you start wondering, should I stay with Marrow or should I switch to Prep Ladder? Now here you may fall into three categories. First is that you are just starting out with your PG preparation. In this case, research thoroughly and decide what your sources are going to be before starting itself, and then stick to the particular source. This is actually the most important thing that you can do to avoid FOMO. Just take your time for this. Talk to friends, talk to seniors, talk to someone who has scored very well in NEET PG, ask them what sources they used, and then make your own choice. Now this is largely a matter of personal preference actually, it depends on your learning style. And everyone has their own different learning style. So if you're someone who prefers the online mode, who prefers to study alone and who doesn't mind not doing it with friends, then you may go for an online platform that is Marrow or Prep Ladder. But if you're into offline classes, if you feel that you need a personal touch and you need to do it with friends, then choose something like DAMS. But remember, you cannot do every source out there, you have to be selective. And other than this personal preference, actually there's not a very big difference in between the content of these different sources. For example, one of my friends had joined DAMS initially, but later he found it very difficult to physically go there and attend the classes and adjust it with the clinical postings. And he found that it was more preferable for him to do classes from the comfort of the hostel room, and that's why he switched over to Marrow. Now what I'm saying is, make this decision in the beginning itself before starting off. Personally, I had chosen DAMS as a source for my notes and I stuck to it till the end. I made my own notes and I revised them again and again. Now you may even fall into this second category, that is you have started your preparation with a source and you are a few weeks or months into it. But now you're doubting whether your source is good or not. Now in this case, just stop for a moment and re-evaluate your source. Again, just remember, there's not a very major difference in between all the sources. So just trust your source. If you finish certain subjects from a particular source, then I would say that don't switch to another source for this subject. Keep reading and revising those notes only. But for the other subjects, if you find that you like some other source better, then go for it. You may change it if you can. But remember that revising the same content repeatedly is much better than switching to a new content and just getting yourself confused. It's like you started chopping a tree and you finished it halfway and then decided to switch to some other tree. You're just starting over again and it will require more effort. Let's take an example. Suppose you did your research and you chose Marrow to be a main platform and you did all subjects from there including anatomy. But now you hear from someone about Dr. Ashwani Kumar's classes and notes and how good they are. And now you're confused whether you should switch or not. Now Dr. Ashwani Kumar's notes and classes are really good, probably even the best out there. But if you have done your anatomy from Marrow, then I'd say that continue doing it from the same source, revise those same notes instead of switching over to this other source. If you focus too much on what sources to do, then you are missing out on the actual studying. That is a FOMO that you should have, the FOMO about not studying. You need to trust your source, and one way in which you can build your trust of the source is by doing Q banks or subject tests and seeing your performance. And if you're performing well on these Q banks and subject tests, then you know that your source is going well and that your studying is going well. The third scenario can be that you are a few weeks or months away from the exam. In this case, just ask yourself this question: can you finish a new source if you start now? I don't think so. Unless you're some superhuman, you cannot finish a new source if you start at this point of time. So just stop thinking. There's no doubt here. No new sources when you're close to the exam. Period. Now here's a bonus tip. Stick to a single source for notes, but you can choose multiple sources for questions, because the more variety of questions that you practice, the better it is for you. Now in this case, what I did was I kept a low stakes source for myself for questions, and in my case that was the Pre-PG app. This is a free app that has daily tests every day on random subjects, and I used to do them occasionally every now and then. So this wasn't a main source for me, so I won't worry much about my performance there. And I would also solve these tests much faster. What used to happen on Marrow is that I used to be very worried about performance there because that was my main source. And many times I also used to overthink in the questions. And in fact, I used to get questions wrong because of overthinking, which I otherwise may have gotten right. So having Pre-PG as a side source or as a low stake source did three things for me. Firstly, it added one more source to my preparation, so that kind of reduced the FOMO a little. Secondly, since it was low stakes, I solved the questions there very fast, and so I developed the habit of solving questions quickly without overthinking. And third thing is that if I perform well there, it used to boost up my confidence that even if I solve quickly without overthinking, I can get questions correct. And even if I perform poorly, there wasn't much to worry about since this is not my main source. So now before moving on to FOMO about fun, I'll list down all the sources that I used here. So So the second thing is FOMO about missing out on the fun stuff in life. Most of you must relate to this. You're at home and you're studying day in and day out, and you just open up Instagram and you see a friend's story and they have gone out clubbing, or maybe one of them has gone out to Goa, or maybe a group has gone to Dubai. And then you think that you're missing out on all of this fun while you're just sitting here miserably studying. So I'll tell you what all things I did to avoid this. Firstly, write somewhere in your phone's notes app whatever you're not able to do right now but you want to do after the exam. So this way you're not missing out on anything. You have a list of all the things that you want to do after exam that you can catch up on later. Trust me, nothing is going away anywhere. You can do everything later. Second thing is limit your social media consumption in the preparation phase. What you can do for this is maybe you can set up a timer in your phone for the social media app so that you can't use it beyond that timer. In case of iPhone, there's an option in screen time that allows you to set limits for apps. And in general, just avoid watching stories of other people, especially your non-medico friends. And additionally, follow the PG preparation pages and follow different mentors. Now the thing is, you only have to do this for a few days, because after a few days, the Instagram algorithm will do its job and it will automatically limit all the other stories from your feed, and it will only show you the PG preparation related posts. Third thing is just zoom out. Now all this period of hard work that you're going through feels like a lot when you're actually going through it. But once you've cleared your exam, it all feels very insignificant actually. So just try to zoom out and see the bigger picture. This hard work actually isn't for a very long period of time, and it is going to pay off very well in the future. In fact, later when you've achieved what you want, it doesn't really feel like you've done so much. Like now that I've given the exam, I don't feel like I've studied that much. But when I try to remind myself of the specific days when I was studying, that time I realized that I have actually gone through a lot of hard work and I've endured a lot to get here. I've talked about my NEET preparation journey in another video on my channel, so check it out if you haven't already. The link will be in the description. And lastly, in the end, I have just one question for you. What would you prefer more? To have an okayish result and enjoy after exams with a lot of guilt? Or to have a really great result and enjoy fully after exams with zero guilt? Make your choice. So that's all for this video. Keep the FOMO away. If you have any doubts or queries, you can post them in the comment section down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.